Okay, so let's talk waterfall and let's talk waterfall agile. Remember that I told you that I walk you through how a project is executed, right? Remember, I talked about the PMLC, the project management lifecycle from initiation. And this is a continuation of session 2, okay? Guys, this is a continuation of session 2. This is a continuation of session 2. For those of you asking to join the Telegram group, I'm going to put the link again in here so that you can join the Telegram group. Okay, so let's keep going. And let's try to round this off so that I can let most of you go if you need to go. And again, remember that subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'm going to put that again. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and you will be able to have this on YouTube. So the recording is actually on YouTube. All right. So if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And give me a minute. Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That is where I'm going to be uploading this in the next 24 to 48 hours. Is that okay? All right. Okay, so let's keep going. Give me a minute. Just trying to, when you use different screens, you're trying to see which screen is on, which screen is not on. All right, so let's keep going. Agile waterfall. What exactly is this? So these are two different methodologies. All right, so they are methodologies, not framework. There's a difference between a framework and a methodology. Okay, I'm not going to say that today, but for those of you who will be coming to the boot camp, again, our first 3 days is free. Okay, for the boot camp, the first week, the week 1 is free. I usually teach framework. I teach framework on that free session. So when you come here and come to that free, you can add everything together and you can make a good soup. All right, so I won't teach framework on this one. I won't teach what the difference between framework methodologies and all of that. All right, so let's talk waterfall and agile quickly. So we've talked the SDLC, we've talked about the PMLC, all right? And now let's look at some of the methods in which a project is executed, all right? Some methods. The first method that I want to look at, okay, is the waterfall methodology. And then after the waterfall, I'm going to help you understand the agile methodology. Okay, so the first one I want to look at is the waterfall methodology, and then the next one will be the agile methodology. All right, perfect. Let's go. So with the waterfall, okay, it's very simple. The pattern here is that the general pattern here is that the output of one phase, okay, is the input of the next phase. Now, think about it this way. When you have a typical waterfall, if you've seen a waterfall, it goes from one step to the next step to the next step. So you have to fill one step. The water needs to fill that step. You know, waterfall, when you see waterfall, maybe if I get a video of a waterfall for you, give me a minute. Let me go online and let me give you the video of a waterfall so that you understand what that means. Let me see. I think I have this one. So look at, this is one waterfall. You can see these steps, that step, this step, that step, this step, that step. Now, water will not get here if this one is not filled up. So if you don't have enough force to fill up this step, it will not pour down. If you don't have enough force to fill up this other step, it will not pour down. So you have to fill one step and then it will fall. You fill another step, it will fall. You fill another step, it will fall. That is how waterfall is. You see? That is how a waterfall is. That's what I just wanted to show you. It sounds refreshing, right? Just hearing the sounds of water. It sounds so refreshing. Okay. That's basically what I wanted to show you there. So I'm going to pause that video. and we're going to get back here. So that is how, in Waterfall, that is how the project is carried out. You finish one step first before you move to the next step. You finish that step before you go to the next step. You finish that other step before you go to the next step. Now, hold on. Before I hit you with this, let me show you a typical example or a typical project that we've done here at the TheSkillGarage. And I'm just going to show you one that the students have been working on for our own website. So for our own product, all right, they started off with a brief. So give me a minute. I'm just going to show you a couple of things. This is just one of the projects. So I'm going to show you this so that you understand the SDLC. I'm going to just quickly show you a couple of things. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple of things quickly. All right. Please confirm that you can see my screen. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Project. Okay, this is one of our projects. Okay, it's called the TSG 2.0. I'm just going to show you this one. So the students were given a brief, okay, about the project, what they should do, the problems that we are facing in our current site and all of that, and then the problem we are facing, and then the solution that we need. So they now took this, went to work, and started working. So if I show you some of the things that they did during the planning stage, so if I sign into Basecamp, I go into TSG MVP, I go into here, I go in here. Okay. First, they do some competitor analysis. I don't want to open it. You know, I'll be uploading this online. You know, I don't want to show some of the information because you have some competitors there and all of that. So I'm not going to open that, but they did some competitor analysis just to understand, okay, what is the high level requirement and all of that. And then they now documented it in what is called a business, you know, requirement document. They had like an elicitation guide that they used in eliciting requirements. All these are the practical elements. So all those things that I told you, now they're now beginning to do it practically, right? Again, like I said, I can't show you some of these things because, you know, there will be some things that I can't put on YouTube, right? So, okay, so they put together a business requirement document. Okay, I'm the one that approves it, and, you know, they do all of that stuff, go through all the motions and things like that, you know, and again, go through prioritization on Miro. Okay, so they do the Miro. So all those, they did all that so that they can, at the end of the day, they came up with this. They were now able to distribute it into streams, and they were able to come up with high level requirements like the browse, this, about us, cookies, course registration. And then we divided it into the MVP. Don't worry, I'm going to explain all of these things. You understand what is an MVP, release 1, release 2. Okay, all these ones are more practical, right? Okay, so the reviews, testimonial, these were all the things that they put in the first stage. And then the second one, because we want people to start, you know, registering on the platform, using our platform to watch the videos. And, you know, like now that you've done this course, we can put you on the platform and then you can watch your videos easily without having to go on YouTube and things like that. All right. And then the student dashboard. We know that we cannot do all these things at once. So this is where I'm going to help you understand the difference between Agile and Waterfall. Hold on, stick with me. I'm going to help you explain using this project. Now, in Waterfall, what we would have done is that when the students did all of that, they will now start writing all these requirements one after the other. Let me see if I can get this. So I will wait for them to write all these requirements for everything. I'll wait for them to write all these things first for everything before we now move to the next stage. So in Waterfall, you have to do analysis first. After you have done your requirement analysis and you've gotten your requirement analysis and everything is done, until you've done for everything, that is now, you will now move to the, you know, okay, this particular diagram is not right. Okay, let's pick something from the internet quickly. So let's do SDLC. Okay, SDLC, let's do Waterfall, and then we'll get it from the internet quickly. Okay. Let's see, which one is this? Okay, let's do this one. Aha, look at this. So once you've done all the requirements gathering and analysis, remember I told you that the S can be software or system, right? When you do all the requirement analysis and gathering, that is when you now do the design. Let's look at this so that it's quite easy. Okay, that is the wrong one. This is the right one. Okay, let me trying to see the right. Again, that is the thing when you are looking for information by yourself and you don't know, you can get confused. So there are so many things online. You just need to make sure that you have the right thing, right? Okay, I think this is the right thing. Okay, so think about it. You define requirements, everything first, before you go into design. And you have to design everything first before you start building. And you have to build everything first before you start testing. The internet is bad. You guys can see can you guys see what I'm talking about? Why you need relevant information. Look at, I've just looked at several pictures right now and they're all wrong. Look at this one, it's writing implement after build, test, implement. But I get what they're saying. So, and if this is why you need a coach. Sometimes you can look at these things online and you can just be confused. I've enlarged it. Now look at this. Can somebody tell me what they mean here? Because this is not what I showed you. You remember? Can somebody tell me what they mean here? Test, implement, and then maintenance. After testing, you deploy. Yeah, but sometimes it is very important how you are getting information and all of that. It's very, very important. It's very important. Let me see if I can get the right stuff and then I can explain it to you quickly. I just need very right stuff. But you know what? Let me just do SDLC. Let me just do SDLC and see. Yeah, this one is right. This one is right. I don't want to go into my slide. If I go into my slide, it's going to be a lot. I'll be tempted to talk a lot. So let me just use this one that I see. Okay, so guys, you're with me. So after the requirement analysis, you've done a lot of analysis, you've written your requirements, you have to finish writing it before you go into design. You have to finish design before you go into implementation. So implementation will be waiting until you are done with designing. And once you are implementing, you have to finish those things. Sometimes they will write like all these implementation sheets and things like that. You have to do that before you go into testing. And after testing, you have to test everything before you go and deploy. Now, when are we going to get the software? Especially for software that needs a lot of revision. This thing is not good. Waterfall is not the best. Yes, Waterfall is not completely bad. There are some projects that Waterfall is okay for. For example, construction project. Waterfall is good for construction projects. Any project that is not too user-centric, okay, is project-centric, right? Project that you know all of the requirements ahead, the scope, you know it ahead of time. It's rigid. It's something that you've done over and over again. If you are working on that type of project that has been done over and over again, where you know the end from the beginning, Waterfall is fine. Because in Waterfall, you will run, give me a minute. Because in Waterfall, you will have to finish all the requirements before you move to design. You have to finish all the design before you move to development. You have to finish the development before you go into testing and integration, before you go into deployment. So you can see that one stage is waiting for the other stage to finish. And software is not like that, especially in this day and age. You can't build a software like that. You can't wait for everything to be done. It's like building our software now. Give me a minute. We are building our software and we are waiting to build everything. This one, dashboard. We are waiting to build all these things before we can launch our website. We'll wait till the end of 2024 because there's a lot of things to do. So I can't talk too much. Again, this is a crash course. There's a lot I can say about Waterfall, but Waterfall has its own advantages and it has its own disadvantage. And you can already begin to see from what I have explained that this technique this methodology is not flexible, especially to changes. And software development is the type of exercise that needs frequent changes. So if you want to handle frequent changes, this will not hold water. Doing it step by step. Let's finish it first before we go to the next one. Finish it first before we get feedback. It won't work. It's not flexible. And that is the reason why Agile comes into play. So Agile is a different methodology. Agile is iterative, I will explain that, and incremental technique. Agile is an iterative and incremental technique. So what does that mean? What do you mean by iterative and incremental? Stick with me. I'm going to explain in a bit. So let me go to my pad, and that will be much better for me to explain things. Okay. Give me a minute. I need to share my screen again. Technology. Just give me a minute, guys. I will connect very soon. I will connect very soon. Just give me a minute. 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 It's coming up. Okay, perfect. It finally came up. All right. So this is what I'm saying. Waterfall. So in Waterfall, okay, you do analysis. After all the analysis is done, you then do the design. After all the design is done for everything, from registration, remember that requirement that we put together, from registration to login, you get all this first. So all this has to be documented. The details for all this has to be documented before you start design. Documented, approved. Can you imagine? It has to be done first before you can now move here. So all this list will be approved. You then move to here and start doing each of them individually and giving the details. And then you now go into the design, finish that before you have to finish everything before you go ahead. So that is what the waterfall does. Okay. That is how you run it. So this one will now go into implementation. And from implementation, you go into what? Guys, help me. I'm looking at the chat. Let me be sure that you're here. From implementation, you go to what? Hello. All right, you're there. From implementation, you go to testing and integration. And then you then go to deploy. Okay, and then maintenance. So this is how you run a waterfall. But this is not too great for a software, because with software, we need to go to the market quickly. You see, people want results quickly. We want to be able to ship quickly. So we can't wait for everything to be done. So we can't wait for everything to be done. So what do? Agile now says, instead of waiting to finish the whole of the requirement, if we have some requirements, while we are working on the others, so if we have registration, if we have login, while we are waiting for matching, while we are waiting for settings, While we are waiting for account management for you to get the details, while we are waiting for that, why can't we start designing this one? Please listen. Why can't we start designing this one? And if we have designed the registration, why can't we start, instead of waiting, okay, for login to be designed? Once this one has been done, why can't we start implementing the registration? By the time we are done implementing registration, probably he would have moved to matching and start looking at the requirements for matching. And by the time we are done with this one would have probably finished the design for login. And as the login comes to be implemented, now we can start looking at the requirements for settings. So things are not waiting for something to be done. You are moving, everything is in motion. Analysis is in motion, design is in motion, implementation is in motion. Everything is going on at the same time, concurrently. Yes, there is dependency because implementation needs to wait for everything to finish, like these other guys to give them. But as he gets from the designer, there is new work to be done for the designer. Do you see that? Now, some of you will wake up in the morning and you see that there's update 2.0, or they've pushed something and they say, download the latest episode. Sorry, I said episode. Download the latest update. Yeah, that is what happens. So they can't wait. It's like Samsung and Apple waiting for who is going to do it first. No, they can't wait forever, because if Apple waits to get it perfect, to wait for everything to be complete before they deploy, Samsung would have stolen their market. So they will quickly do the ones that they can do within a year, and then the next year they will bring Apple 15. And they will do another one, and they will now continue in the next year and do, and that is why they have what is called a roadmap. If you've ever heard of a roadmap, they have a roadmap. They say, let's do this one first. So that one can be release 1. And then let's do this one next. And that one can be release 2. And then let's do this one next. And that one can be release 3. So they will now focus on this one that is release 1, which is maybe the registration, the login, the matching, okay, and then the settings. And maybe in the account management, they will give you delete, because they should give you the ability to delete. So they'll just give you the delete. Maybe they will not give you other things first. And maybe the ability to change your profile username. Maybe that's it. You don't have the other things. At this time, they're not even concerned about payment. So they will not put payment here. They'll put payment maybe in release when they have tested and see what how people are using the stuff. So let's talk about Agile. So what that means is that Agile is going to analyze the requirement, design is going on, implementation is going on, testing is going on. And if it is possible, if they have enough things, they can deploy it. So they will do this in iterations, in cycles. And this iteration can be a duration of time. It could be maybe 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, they would run something. They'll come back and look at what they've done. You see? And then they will do another 2 weeks. They will run the same thing again. They will analyze. But maybe in this week, this guy is analyzing matching. But registration has been done. So this registration and login has been done. So this one has designed registration and is probably doing login now. And this one has implemented this registration, okay, from the previous week. So let's say, for example, when a project starts, let's assume that this project started, okay? So the requirement is going to have registration ready. When they have registration ready, design will be working on it. And once design is working on it, okay, this guy will pick another one. He could do like 3 or 4 in this 2 weeks. And maybe in the first few days, he already has some requirements. He will send some here, they will start working. This one already has some approved designs, they will send some here. And that is why sometimes, some people have what is called, I don't want to go into details, they have some pre-planning before this iteration starts, so that they can have something they can start working with. Like design can have something they can start working with. Implementation can have something that they can start working with. So sometimes at the beginning of the project, it could be waterfall. So some people combine both. So in the beginning of the project, it could be waterfall, so that they just quickly do 1 or 2 requirements, do the design, and once they have the design, they will now start this iteration. Because now the implementation cannot be idle. They need something to work with. So they will go through this iteration, first iteration, they'll go through the second iteration, and as they are doing this iteration, they are doing more and more of the work. Registration is being done. Login is being done. Matching is being done. Maybe in the first iteration, we did this 3. Maybe in the second iteration, testing is still testing this 3. And in the second iteration, we'll move to the other things like settings and all of that. Maybe after 5 iterations, after 5 of these cycles, cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, and like that. Maybe after 5 of it, we now have something. After 5 times we've done this, or after 6 times that we've done this, we now have something. They can now say, let's release it. Let's release it. And that is where I'm going to now take you back and show you the practical aspect of this on one of our projects. So give me a minute. I'm going to take you back here, and I'm going to show you the practical aspect of this. So please confirm that you can see my screen. We are almost there, guys. We're almost there. So you can see that in Waterfall, you have requirements has to be done before design, before development, before testing, before deployment. So you can see that you have all these, steps that needs to be done before you get the big outcome. But in Agile, you don't have to wait for a big outcome. You can, take a requirement, run through that, develop it, design it, take a couple of requirements, and then have a little thing after that stuff. And then you go through another iteration. You see, iterative. That's what it means. Iteration means you are doing the same thing, but, over and over again. So you do this first iteration, you create an increment. You increase, you create an increment. You do another iteration, you add to the previous one, cumulative, another increment. You do another iteration, increment. The good thing about this is that if you do this one, you can get feedback quickly. That's the good thing about Agile. You can get feedback quickly. I don't want to go into the 4 Agile manifesto and all of that. Okay, I would have done into that, but I do that on the bootcamp. Here is just to give you the concept, and then you can run with it. Okay, so you have that. So that is why we say it is an iterative and incremental technique, meaning that you go through iterations and you increase in value. You increase as you go along. You go to the first one, you increase. You grow to the second one, you increase. You go to the third one, you increase. And then you get to the point that you say, we can now release this one. Let's release this. It makes sense. It makes a full product we can release. Now, the concept of the MVP, which is what I want to go into now, minimum viable product. Please listen. Now, the Agile is where we have the concept of the MVP. MVP is minimum viable product. Okay? Minimum viable product. All right? So it is the minimum. How do I put it down? I want to use the right words. Is the minimum version of your product that you can ship to your customers that makes sense, that they can interact with. It doesn't have to have the complete features, but it has enough features for them to be able to interact and give you feedback, so that you can take that feedback and iterate from there. For example, If I want to build a website for the Skill Garage, will I just build a homepage? Would I just build a homepage? It's not usable now because people want to register for the course. So I have to look for something that they can still use. Thank you, Bianca. Because it is minimum doesn't mean that it should not be usable. You can't just give a website and say, I have done navigation. That is my first version. It's my minimum viable product. That doesn't make sense because what do they want to do with the navigation? It's not usable. So it needs to be a minimum useful, thank you, Oluwaseun, a minimum useful version of that product that is a minimum version of that product that is usable, that they can use and give you feedback. For example, there is this guy that sold his enterprise. Okay, it's called Zappos. He sold his enterprise to Amazon for, I think, $1 million. How did it start? He wanted to check whether people will buy shoes online. So what he did was he went to the store because people were only, this was a long time ago, before the age of, social media was just picking up that time. So he was not sure people will buy things online. So what he did was he just built a small website. He went to the store, snapped the picture of the shoe, and then posted it on the website, and then gave them a link to buy. That's it. There was no monitor your delivery, status of the delivery. Nothing like that. When they pressed on it and they clicked and they buy and they bought it, he just showed them the sizes. Because normally people were used to going to go and wear the shoe and test it in their legs. Now he has to give them the sizes and everything online and tell them you can return it if it doesn't size you. So they come in and they click on it. All right. They come in, they click on it, boom, and then they make a payment. He sees the payment, he sends them an email and tell them your payment has been received. This is not a scam. Do you understand? But they are not saying delivered, in progress. All those things are useful. But for now, he can continue using this website to get feedback. It's like when we started the Skill Garage. We didn't have a place where people would go and be watching videos because we had just 2 students. We needed to test with these students what was important. And then when we started getting feedback, we started doing a lot of things. We started getting this one, we started getting this one, we started getting that one, we started getting this one. Do you understand? So that is the concept of the MVP. It's kind of like the usable, the minimum part that you can send out that is usable. So that could be achieved maybe after a couple of iterations. So maybe you do like the first iteration, the second iteration, the third iteration, maybe a couple iterations, maybe 10 iterations, depending on how big and complex the project is, right? You can do a couple of iterations and then you get the MVP. Now, that is what Agile helps you to accomplish. With Waterfall, you cannot accomplish that. You have to wait to do everything. So, like I was saying, on our project, okay, we have an MVP. We don't have to wait to do the dashboard. But is it because we are not, now that we are building this, can't we continue designing this? So I'll show you what we're doing right now. So this is our MVP. We have our home page, okay? You're working on the home page. I'll show you a couple of things. Let me show you something. So you can see an example of requirements that the students wrote, okay? When we say you write detailed requirements and you give it to the design, this is what we are talking about, all right? So for example, you can see there's what we call user stories where you write your requirement, all these things. I will see whether I can touch on it quickly, all right? If I cannot touch on it, then it is what it is, okay? All right, maybe some other day. All right, so look at, he's putting down the requirement here. The student put down the requirement. As a user on the TSG website, I want to view an About Us page so that I can gather information on TSG. So he's telling them, users should be able to view TSG brand story. User should be able to showcase, the page should be able to showcase mission, vision, and purpose. He's telling the designer that, listen, when you're designing this thing, this is what you should take into consideration because this is what the owner wants. This is what the business wants. This is what we have sat down to discuss and confirm. So he writes down the requirement and say, have all these things. Show the TSG values, the achievements, the lead coach, the team members, okay? All right? Users are able to view photos and profile of the TSG team. Now, please follow me. Now, this is the About Us page. The designer now comes in. Can you see our story? That was what was said here. TSG brand story. Can you see that? So the designer takes it and changes it into a design. Then the next thing is mission, vision, and purpose. What you told the designer to do. The designer takes that, the mission, vision, and purpose, and puts it into design. Achievement. They take it and they put it into design. Achievement, awards, and the rest. Put it into a design. And then they go ahead, our team, they put it into design. Now, once they do this, this is the design. It's now time to implement it. So they go in and code. Our developers, we have a couple of developers, quite a lot. And now they go in and start developing, and then they will develop this. This is the staging site. Okay? So they go in and they develop this. And you go to the About Us, and then you can see the About Us is, you can test things now. You can see, you now go in here and start testing. And start testing. And you can even have what is called a test script. Let me show you. So all these things I can't teach you now, but you can have what is called a test script. Can you see that? So, for example, on the home page, the logo should redirect to this. The header should this. When you click on Get Started, what should you have? So you are testing each of these individual things, and then you test everything out together. So this is a test script that the students are using to test, the test cases. Test case, not test script. Okay? You're using to test each of the things. Now, for example, like this one, Get Started CTA. You come in here, the Get Started. You click on it. Is it working as expected? Oh, yes, it's working. You want to speak with Michael? Okay, you can book a date. And now that you do that, you put your information and you have booked the date, and then you schedule the date. It is working properly. That is tested and good to go. All right? You check. Okay, is this one working as book a call? Partner with us. Is this one working as needed? Is this join our Telegram? Is this working? Oh, now I'm clicking on it. It's not working, meaning that there's something wrong. I have to write a bug. So at the end of the day, you would see that it's not everything that we have built. Oh, see all courses. It's not everything that we've built in here. But we don't have to wait for everything to be built before we launch this website. For example, there are other things that are still going on. For example, there is this one, the user registration. We don't have to wait for user registration because we have another way of managing the students now. We use our base camp to manage the students. You can see this is where our students, they are housed under base camp. They are put into their different cohorts. They can see all the materials for the class. They can see all this. We don't need to build this now because we can still manage them here and just give them the public facing website. That is what Agile is about. You see that? So we can go in here and they can see all the module decks. You see all the things that I taught you, they are in modules. They are big modules. The module 1, module 2, module 3, they can see module 4, product ownership. We teach them product ownership as part of the BA course because I'll tell you about that. Product ownership, wireframes, and they will do Jira, Confluence, and all of that. Everything is here. They can get them. So they can manage. I don't need to build that first. But does that mean we are not going to build it? Of course we will build it. And that is why we have this. We are building, we are designing it here. The students are writing requirements. So let me show you. Then the dashboard. Right now, on this project, we are currently dealing with the dashboard. What should the dashboard look like for our students? When they come in here, what should they see? How should they see the courses? Should they write a test? Should they do this and that? And then we come on our daily, we have our calls that we do every time with the students. All right. And then we look at these things. It's called design review. We do a design review. And then whoever is the sponsor for this project can approve the design. And then it can go into implementation. All these are the practical aspects, because some things I can tell you, with story, you need to do it. That is where the experience comes from. You have to do the work. So you do things like this, you can never forget. You can't forget. You can't forget that you had an experience. So you can see that we don't have to wait to deploy this. We don't have to wait for the dashboard to be ready. Oh, maybe by the end of October, we'll deploy this new website. All of you will see the new website. So you can come to the new website now, okay? And you can come and probably, look for a course. All right? The business analysis bootcamp, you can enroll, you can fill in the form, you can register. Once you register, you can come in, you can probably view some testimonials, you can probably see what you're going to be learning from week 1 to week 2, getting into the flow, getting to learn the ropes, week 5, week 6, you can come in here and explore. You can download the brochure if you want to, okay? But the requirement was that let's get their details just in case, we need to follow up with them. So all these requirements now determine how you build the website. It's simple. This thing is simple. They collected this requirement from me. I'm the sponsor. So they will find some time and, just the same way they are doing some other projects. No, our cost is not 4,500. Please, this is too much. Our cost is not 4,500. This is just for testing purpose, okay? You go to the back end. You teach you go to the CMS. How does that, all those things you would, let me see if I can show you some things here. You get the requirements for, okay, what should happen for example, in the start learning section. How should that be in the CMS? This is now where it gets practical. You are building something. You are doing it practically. That's why I said you can get knowledge anywhere. But you see, practical, that is what gets you a job. You can get certification, or you can in fact get 1 million certification. That does not mean you know the job. You understand what I'm trying to say? So you do this. Once you publish this, you can see it right here. Here, what is that? What is the meaning of API and things like that? So all those things we will do in the bootcamp. But before I digress, let me come back to the matter at hand. The matter at hand is doing things in the agile way. Doing things in the agile way. So the agile way of doing things is you doing things iteratively and incrementally. Iteratively and incrementally. So you do it in iterations and you do it in increments. So instead of us waiting for us to finish this and get this done, no, we can release what we have now. And once we get feedback, we can continue from there. We can release the rest of the other things. All right? Yeah. So that is what it means to, work on a project using the waterfall method. Okay. Again, there's a lot that I can say on this, and work on a project using the agile method. Now, when it comes to the agile method, now I'm wrapping up a little bit. A few things I want to mention here. So just stick with me quickly. I will be wrapping a few things up. Just give me a few minutes. So you can see that if I wanted to go through my slides, there's a lot of things I have to go through before I can. That's why I don't like to use slides for there's a lot of things I have to take you through, walk you through all these things, So it's what I'm giving you is I'm just trying to condense a lot of things. I teach you about environments. I've not taught you that in this class, right? I'll teach you about environments, the different environments, I haven't mentioned anything about environments in this class. And then we go into Waterfall. It's a comprehensive thing. So what we are doing here is a crash course that can help you, to, the reason why I came here was because I wanted to, and all this, I didn't mention the 4 values, okay? But what I'm getting to is the frameworks, right? So there are different frameworks within Agile. Now, framework is different from a methodology. Framework is different from a methodology. And in the first week of our bootcamp, I explained that, and I'm going to explain it to you. And then I'm quickly going to talk about Agile frameworks, and we'll probably wrap this up, okay? Because I know some of you are already tired, hungry. We've already spent like 3-4 hours on this call. I wish we could do more, but again, watch out on our space. We may be able to do one before the end of the year and see how we can combine things. But if we are not, it is what it is. We will be able to probably do that during maybe next year. All right. Okay. But Let me show you something quickly. Give me a minute. I'm going to show you something quickly. Let me show you something quickly. Let me show you something quickly about frameworks. So these are all the things I taught you today. You can see it's quite a lot. I tried to push it into 4 hours. It's crazy. I tried to push it into 4 hours. So let me see how I can. Yeah, so let me talk about framework quickly. Okay, let me talk about framework. Now, look at this. I want to help you understand framework. So, and I will now take you back to the framework. All right. So look at this. How many of you have seen this in your house, or you have something like this in your house? Framework. How many of you? Because somebody was asking what's the difference between framework and methodology. How many of you have this in your house? Framework. You have a frame, or whatever frame. It doesn't have to look like this old one. You have a frame in your house. You have, okay, good. Let me help you relate with it. Now, how many of you did mathematics in school? Probably you hated it. And they used to tell you, give you some certain methodology in mathematics, how you use methods, some methods in mathematics. You have to do it step by step using that particular method, like the Pythagoras theory, and how you solve things the simultaneous equation. There's a method. There are different methods to solve the quadratic equation. How many of you remember? Almighty formula, there's the method of squares and all of that. In mathematics, you have a lot of methods. What is a method? You cannot tweak a method. If you try to tweak a method, you will miss it. If you try to tweak a method, is sacrosanct. You see, a method is sacrosanct, meaning that how they say you should do it is how you should do it. It's a method. It's an approach. That's what we call methodology. Waterfall is a methodology. Agile is a methodology. The methodology is incremental. You see, it's iterative and incremental. Waterfall is a methodology. But you see framework. Let me help you understand framework in a minute. You will never forget this, ever. If this is the only thing I'm going to do today and wrap up, you will never forget the difference between methodology and framework. So let me help you understand it quickly. So to understand framework, let's talk about how a frame works. Now look at this. Look at how Barry likes it. Look at how Kendra likes it. Look at how Ogogo likes it. Have you seen how Ogogo likes it? She likes it this way. Now, has anybody noticed the difference? What's the difference? Anybody? What's the difference in all of this? What's the difference? Somebody said preference. Somebody said image size. Somebody said position of the image. Somebody said it's about choice. I like that. Okay, good, I like that. You can see that each person used the frame in the way that it suited them. How many of you noticed that? Each person decided to use the frame. The frame was available to them, but they decided to use it the way that it fits their own particular objective. Now you're getting the point. They decided, and that is how the framework works. My guys, that is how a framework works. With a framework, okay, a framework is a real or conceptual structure to serve as a support or guide for executing an objective or idea. So when we say Agile framework, we mean that we have different frameworks for Agile, different guides. Scrum is one of the framework. Kanban is one of the framework. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? So we have different Agile framework to help us execute Agile. So it's a framework, but people can decide to use it the way they want. That is why you will see some people doing ceremonies, the Scrum ceremony in a different way. I know I've not taught you that. And some people are doing it in another way that helps them to achieve Agile. So framework is actually how the framework is you use it as you deem fit. Do you see that? You use a framework as you deem fit. So that is how a framework can be tweaked to fit your specific objective, to suit your preference. Thank you, Chinyere. To suit your preference. That is how you use a framework. All right. but I'm not teaching business analysis framework. I only brought you here so that you can understand when we say, I brought you here so that you can understand when we say, give me a minute. When we say agile frameworks. So you have different agile frameworks. You have Scrum, you have Kanban, you have feature-driven development, test-driven development, continuous CI/CD, extreme programming, large-scale Scrum, Agile unified process. You have all of these frameworks. But the two most popular ones is Scrum and Kanban. Those are the two popular frameworks. And that is where most of you, when you go on job sites, you start seeing Scrum, Kanban, Scrum, Kanban. But guys, tonight, I can't go further than where we are to now. I would have loved to show you more about Scrum, and I'd love to show you Kanban, and I'd love to show you quite a lot of things. But again, I told you what the motivation of this is to also help you to see that these things are possible. The things that you are learning online, okay, you can do some things online by yourself, okay? But trust me, now again, like I told you from the beginning of the course, you can decide to go for a boot camp if you want. You can decide to do a self-study if you want. It's up to you, right? It's definitely up to you, all right? But there is knowledge out there that you can utilize. And I wish Akpos was here to tell you his story. He didn't have to register for a bootcamp. He just came for a program like this and he took it and he used it. When he got his job, he sent me after one, he said everything that I said. You know, I know I didn't go into some things around CV. I didn't go into some things about CV today. He said everything that I said was what he used. And that was what was able to take him. In fact, that was what sparked his curiosity. And he was like, I can do this thing. I have been hearing this thing from afar. I can do it. It's the same thing I came to achieve today, to tell you that you can do it. You can actually achieve it. All right? Yeah, that is what I came to tell you today, that you can actually you can do this thing. There's no big deal there. Honestly, there is no big deal here. You can actually get it done. Honestly, you can. Okay? You can. All right? So one of the things I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to show you again what we do in the bootcamp, right? Our bootcamp is very practical oriented. If you are looking to be a part of the bootcamp, for those of you in the UK, our next bootcamp is on the 10th. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly a few things. So give me a minute. I'm going to quickly show you that. So if you don't want to hear what I want to say right now, that's fine. But let me quickly show you our next cohort for those of you in UK, Africa. For those of you in Dubai, we are planning for you, okay? We're planning for you, but we're going to restructure for you in Dubai. For those of you in Canada and US, the next cohort is on the 17th. So wait, I'm going to show you this thing. So just give me a minute. I'm going to show you our bootcamp. So give me a minute. So give me a minute. I'm going to pull that up right now. And then I'm going to show you so that you can see the dates. And then I'm going to tell you what the pricing is. And for those of you who wait till the end, I think I am led to give you a discount. I'm going to give you a time-based discount because it's a ridiculous one, especially for what we do here. It's going to be a ridiculous discount, but I will do it. All right. So let me share with you what we have here, and then we can go. And then I'll be out of your way. All right. So we have our bootcamp. For those of you in UK, Nigeria, Africa, all right. Again, the bootcamp is very comprehensive. I will show you the brochure. It's very comprehensive. It's a 10-week bootcamp. That's for the in-class training, okay? Because in the in-class training, you also be doing some exercises here and there, group work, group exercise, and all of that, right? But then we also put you on a practical, like I showed you, that is just one. Okay, I just showed you one of the projects. There are a number of projects. All right, I just showed you one. If I pull this up right now, there's a number of these things that we work on, and you work with developers, you work with these guys for real. So this is not we trying to make you feel like we're trying to sell you something. No, this is real. Okay. So if you go in here, there's quite a lot of projects that we're working on. This one is also, this is one, this is another 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 one. It just quite a lot of projects here. Okay, you can see this one is even under, is in development right now. Okay, you can see this one is in development right now. Students are handling this. Okay, they do all the work. You can see Jira. You can see on Jira the backlog and all of that stuff. So all these things are practical stuff that you do on the job, do on the work. So we typically place you on the project, and then the developers will go ahead and build these things. All right, they go ahead and build all these things, and you can see, and you can test, you can do everything you need to do. You can relate with the developers. You can come on stand-up meetings. All right, all those things are practically done. Okay, we do not take that lightly. Okay, we are always very hands-on. Okay, so for those of you in the UK and Nigeria and Africa, okay, especially of those of you in Europe, this is yours. So we are starting the next one on the 10th, okay, on the 10th of October. That's a Tuesday. Okay, on the 10th of October, typically your time will be in the evening, 7 p.m. your time, GMT. Okay, I work with one or two people in the UK. We have Anita, we have Sarah and all of that. Sarah works with the NHS. All right, we work with those people to bring you a lovely course. All right, a lovely boot camp that you will be proud of. Okay, so registration will start next Monday, so watch out for that. Okay, but I'm going to give you an offer at the end of this class. If you're ready to make a payment, that offer will be limited. Okay, I'm just telling you ahead of time. All right, so that is that for those of you in the UK. For those of you in US and Canada, yours is starting on the 17th. We would have started on the 10th, but we need to round off our July cohort. Our July cohort, we're still a bit behind. So we need to wrap them up first before we bring you guys in. All right. So so that will be happening on the 17th. And also the registration for this will start on Monday. Okay. The registration for this is going to start on Monday. Very important. All right. So for those of you in the US, Canada, North America, this one is for you. And for those of you who are saying, okay, what if I start with UK and I move to Canada? What happens? Yes, if you've made your payment, we will transfer you. Okay. And you have the ability to join any cohort. Okay. Because we know that things happen. So you have the ability to join any cohort for the next 12 months. So say, for example, you join this cohort. All right. And something happened. You could not join. As long as you've made your payment or you are continuing to make your, installment payment, we will move you to another cohort so that you can continue with that cohort. All right. Okay. I'm going to tell you how much that costs. I'm going to tell you how much discount I'm giving or how much discount we are giving for you. But before we go there, I want to get a few people to do a few things. Now we've taken some time. We didn't ask you for a penny. We didn't ask you for anything. And we could have gone on and on, but I know that time is limited. Okay, so what we want to do quickly, what I want you to do for us here, give me a minute. I'm going to throw in a discount for you. Let me show you something quickly. Give me a minute. I'm going to show you something quickly. Okay, this part is not needed for the recording, so I'm probably going to